What is going on, everybody? My name is Anthony, aka Tone14, and I am bringing you my draft analysis for Season 2 of the IBL, or the International Battling League. This is an in-game league that I did prior to me joining the APA, which is the American Pokemon Association, and before I did the NES, which is the National Expedition Syndicate. I did this league before I did any of those leagues. It was in game. Um, in season one, I finished with a 6-6 record, but I was unfortunately not enough to make the playoffs. So this season, I decided to switch up my draft strategy, and I decided to go after a more cohesive and balanced team as opposed to my season one team, which was basically just a bunch of strong Pokemon with no real cohesion. So the draft concluded a few hours ago. I'll actually leave the draft stream in the description down below so you can check out all the picks for yourself. It's a long video. It's roughly about 5 hours long. So unless you have the time to sit through and watch all the picks non-stop, then I I salute you 100%. But in any case, I'm just going to break down my team and my reasoning for drafting the mons that I did. So before the draft started, we had the opportunity to franchise one of the Pokemon we had from our season one team. And to most of the people that know me, whether it be in the IBL or in other leagues or other people, most people know me know how much I love me some Manaphy. So I had Manaphy season one. I decided the franchise to come back for season two. Led my team in kills last season, and I guess you can't go wrong with a strong wall breaker, with Tail Glow, with Scald, with Ice Beam, Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball, Psychic, Shadow Ball, the whole 9 yards. You really can't go wrong with a Pokemon of this caliber like Manaphy. So as opposed to last season where I didn't really have Pokemon that meshed well together, and I lacked a lot of switch-ins. I didn't really have any pivots or stuff like that. I really had to think for a while about how I wanted to go about my draft. And so since I franchised Manaphy, I had fewer free points to work with. Nevertheless, I had the eighth pick in the draft, so I was smack dab in the middle of everyone in the field. So I had to make my first round pick count. So I decided that in the first round, with my eighth pick, I needed something that can work very well with Manaphy. I had Mega Gardevoir last season. It did well in some spots, but most times the matchup didn't really go well in my favor because my opponents prepped extremely well for Mega Gardevoir, and the Pokemon around Mega Gardevoir that I had outside Manaphy didn't really help it out in any way, shape, or form. So I decided to switch it up a bit and go after a more offensive pivot mon that can give Manaphy free switching opportunities, not having to really take any hits. It's a fast mon, a very versatile mon, and I couldn't pass up taking Tornadus Durian. Now, Tornadus Durian I have not used in a draft league format, but it pairs up very, very nicely with Manaphy. Provides it with U-Turn, Hurricane, Knockoff, Superpower, Heat Wave. It's not limited to just Life Orb. It can run Assault Vest. Um, but basically, this is just a great offensive pivot for my team, and a good way to start off with something to pair well with Manaphy, which is something I was looking first and foremost in the draft. Now, moving on to my next pick, I know I need something to complement Manaphy and Tornadus Durian. And one thing I didn't really have last year was a very good I didn't make use of Volturn. I had Crobat plus Jolteon last year in last season's draft, but I didn't really bring them together that often. So this time I decided to go after a different electric type. As you see, both Manaphy and Tornado Styrian are both weak to electric attacks. I need something that can switch in and retaliate with a strong attack. So with that being said, I decided to go after my Mega pick, which just so happened to be Mega Magnetric. I have used Mega Magnetric in the past, not in a league format, but it is a fast, strong electric type, slightly faster than Jolteon. It doesn't have the luxury of holding a life orb or a choice scarf or a choice specs like Jolteon. But the thing that separates Mega Magnetric from Jolteon is, and Raikou for that matter, is the fact that it gets intimidated upon Mega Evolution, Lightning Rod before I Mega Evolve, take Absorb a Volt Switch or Thunderbolt, Mega Evolve and get off a strong special attack, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Flamethrower, Overheat, Signal Beam, Hidden Power. Its move pool is pretty small for the most part. Like, it's not as diverse as, say, Tornadus is, but it still has, it makes up for its sort of small move pool, its high speed and high special attack, especially if it gets that Lightning Rod boost pre-Mega. So, moving on to my round 3 pick. I know I needed, another thing that my season 1 team lacked last season was priority. I didn't really have any revenge killers, so to speak. I didn't really have priority. Like, the only priority I had on my team was either Quick Attack Jolteon or Quick Attack Crobat, which I did not bring either of those. So I needed something reliable. I needed a priority. I needed something that is not just limited to one thing and one thing only. So I decided with my next pick, I went to tier 2 and I decided to pick up a very good mon in Breloom. Breloom, again, another Pokemon I haven't used that much recently, but I couldn't pass up the ability with Spore, Mach Punch, Technician Bullet Seed, Technician Mach Punch, Technician Rock Tomb, can run a Poison Heal set with Facade. But more importantly, it gives me, this is my, basically a good grass switching. It does have that weakness to flying attacks, 4 times weak, but I do have Mega Magnetric, which does resist. So now we're moving on to my round 4 pick. Another thing that my season 1 team lacked, I didn't really have reliable hazard removal. My only hazard removal was default Crobat, but I hardly brought it, and the times I didn't bring it, it came back to bite me because I lost to some hazard stack or sticky web. So I wanted to mitigate that issue. I did not pick up default this time around. I decided to go after a rapid spinner. And I also wanted a more reliable electric switch-in, as Mega Magnetric doesn't keep Lightning Rod upon Mega Evolution. So I wanted a electric switch-in that also gave me a Stealth Rock user and a priority user all in one, and that Pokemon just so happens to be Donphan. Donphan, like I said, provides Stealth Rock damage, provides Stealth Rocks, good stab Earthquake, another knockoff user, priority with Ice Shot, a rapid spinner, can run either an Assault Vest set, can run a Choice Band set if I want to. Not limited to just one particular set in general, but I needed good physical bulk. I needed something that can take some hits. I needed Stealth Rocks first and foremost. And I needed a way to get rid of hazards, and Donphan was able to do both for me, so Donphan made a perfect fit on my team. So now, on to round 5. I decided that my next pick was going to be another hard-hitting Pokemon. I was initially going to pick Nidoking, but that was gone. But at the same time, I didn't want 2 ground types. Then I was going to pick Arcanine, but Arcanine was also gone. by the time I got to my pick. So, and Chandelure didn't really appeal to me. I didn't have a tier five. I didn't have a ghost type yet. I didn't really want to get one right now. And I figured another special attacker, another fast special attacker would also benefit me. So I figured I'd go down to tier 4, and I decided that this Pokemon was still around when it was my turn. So I decided to go ahead and pick up my Delphox. Delphox I have seen used in the past from Chime in a Season 1 team, which did a good load of damage when it came. Can run a Choice Scarf set, can do Choice Specs, Calm Mind, access to Will-O-Wisp, Switcheroo. So I had a bunch of options at my disposal for Delphox, and Delphox actually puts in a good amount of work as I'm prone to not drafting Pokemon that have a Stealth Rock weakness, which kind of hindered me a bit somewhat in Season 1 because they were good Pokemon, even though they had Stealth Rock weaknesses. I tend to avoid them, but I couldn't pass up Delphox and its ability to just come in, get off a Fire Blast, especially if it's boosted by Blaze, has Side Shock, Grass Knot, a good array of coverage options at its disposal. So Delphox made sense in this round as my tier 4 pick. Moving on now to round 6, I went a little bit further down the line, and another thing that I lacked in season 1 was a dark type Pokemon, as my psychic resist in season 1 was actually a Mega Gardevoir. Um, so I needed to fix that. While this next Pokemon isn't really a psychic switching, it is still a very fast and very powerful Pokemon, a very good revenge killer too. So I went to tier 5 and I managed to pick up Sneasel. Sneasel, it's frail, but if I get the opportunity, if it comes in on either a U-turn or a Volt Switch from either Tornadus, Asterion, or Mega Manectric, it can potentially Pursuit Trap a Pokemon, knock off Ice Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, Poison Jab, Low Kick, potentially can run like a Sword Stance Eviolite set, but mostly you'll probably see me in like either a Life Orb set or maybe like a Choice Scarf Revenge Killer set. It's very fast, it's very frail, and it's also very powerful, so I couldn't pass up all 3 of those traits, especially considering that another thing I lacked was immediate speed. I needed to do like boosting moves like Rock Polish Tyrantrum, which I had last year. I either went Choice Scarf, um, Choice Scarf Tauros I had, but I didn't really capitalize on it as much. So I figured Sneasel would help me out in that department, especially with its already high base speed, strong stab attacks, plus priority with Ice Shard. And I couldn't pass that up. So now on to round 7. I figured I needed some more bulk. This time around, I had good speed in Sneasel, Tornadus, Asterion, Mega Manectric, Delphox. So I decided to go back to tier 4, look through some bulkier mons in the tier, and this one Pokemon stood out above all the rest. I was initially going to try to get a Pokemon like Registeel, but Registeel was already gone, so I figured this next Pokemon would be a decent replacement, a very solid replacement, as a matter of fact. And it's actually a Pokemon I wanted in Season 1, but it was sniped before I was able to pick it. So I went and got it myself, and that Pokemon is Escavalier. Couldn't go wrong with Escavalier. Gives me a bulky Steel type, something I didn't really have last season. Can run Assault Vest, can be a Choice Band set, can Sword Stance, access to Stab, Mega Horn, Stab Iron Head, Drill Run, another knockoff user, a Pursuit Trapper. Just a very good bulky mon in general, and I couldn't pass up the utility and I couldn't pass up what Escavalier provided to my team in terms of bulk and in terms of power, which is two things that you kind of need in a successful draft team to have that good combination of speed, bulk, and the ability to switch in certain attacks, which Escavalier gives me all three. Now on to my final three picks. The first one I went after was I decided I needed some cleric support because I know hazards are going to be everywhere. Donphan's going to he's going to be taking hits. Escavalier's going to be taking hits. Um, and I can't rely on Rain Dance plus Rest Mana Fee to constantly keep myself healthy. So staying in tier 4 for my next pick, and I decided to go after a bulky Wish Passer. And fortunately enough, this Pokemon was still available, so I decided to go after the Alomomola. Now, it is passive at times, but the fact that it does get Regenerator, it gives me another a Regenerator to repair up with Tornado Stereo. They both have the electric weakness, but it's resisted by Mega Manetric, immune by Donphan, and breathing resist electric as well. Pass off big wishes, get Skull, Toxic, can knock off, and it's also a user of Healing Wish, so I can heal off either my Mana Fee or any of my other stuff, Sweepers or Revenge Killers, bring them back up to full, and give them a second chance to do some major damage to my opponent. So I thought it was a very wise choice to try to get some needed bulk in the later rounds of the draft. So I figured I couldn't pass up that opportunity. And now with my round 10 pick, I was missing. I needed to pick a tier 3. I only had Donphan, and I needed to pick another one. Nothing really appealed to me at the time, but this one Pokemon stood out, and it provided a lot of utility. It's a slow but hard-hitting wall breaker, like Escavalier. So with that pick, I decided to go with the Dragalge. Dragalge, adaptability, Draco Meteor, adaptability, Sludge Wave, hits like a truck, can provide toxic spikes, can be a choice specs user, can buff choice specs with the Draco Plate or the Poison Plate, and the Toxic Plate. And Toxic Spikes I feel is going to be very, very beneficial for the team. I have used Dragalge plus Manaphy together in OU in the past, so I'm very accustomed to how they operate together, especially with Toxic Spikes wearing down some switches to Manaphy depending on what coverage it lacks. Toxic Spikes also benefits the my low turn core. With all the constant switching my opponent has to do in and out, and unless they have a grounded poison type, those toxic spikes are here to stay. It also benefits my Alomomola, as it doesn't have to worry about wasting a turn to click toxic and stall them out with Wish Protect. And it also keeps my Dragalge healthy, Escavalier healthy, Donphan healthy. So I couldn't really go wrong with that. And now on to my final pick. I went after a Pokemon that's not really that's not commonly drafted in League format. And the other thing about this team is that my only Stealth Rocker so far was Donphan. I wanted to at least mitigate the pressure off the Donphan that every time I see Donphan, it has to be my Stealth Rocker. And at the same time, I also didn't have a Fairy type. So with my last remaining 3 points, I went to tier 4 and I picked up the underrated but very good Diancie. Diancie pairs up pretty well with Alomomola, as Diancie gets access to Heal Bell, so I can remove those burns and toxics from my team. It's also another Stealth Rock user, so I don't have to worry about putting rocks on Donphan. It is a very hard-hitting Pokemon in its own right, with with that base 100 attack and base 100 special attack to go along with that base 150 defense and special defense. I feel as though Diancie can put in some work. It is a very good It's a good dark check as it does have a good overall bulk to like knock off spam. Although Bisharp is an issue, but I can, and steel types in general, but I can work around that. I can also use DNC as a trick room setter for either my Tricology, my Escavalier, or my Donphan, and I still have the priority to make up for my for messing up my faster mons with my Short Sneasel, Monfort Breloom. So for the most part, that is my team for season 2 of the IBL. I hope you guys enjoyed my draft. I will actually be trying to upload these battles in the IBL onto my channel. Also, if you did like my draft analysis and you like my team, feel free to hit that like button at the right side of the screen. Feel free, if you really enjoyed the content on my channel, feel free to subscribe because there's definitely going to be plenty more content where that came from. Hopefully, I'll be having my week 1 match in the IBL probably sometime over the weekend, and I'll hopefully be able to upload these battles onto my channel. So, until the next time, my name's Anthony, aka Tone114, and I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side. Later!